Hi there, this is Dilys Gayan and welcome to the Inspired Selling Podcast, the place where business owners, business experts, coaches, consultants and trainers who sell to bigger businesses discover how to attract, convert and retain more of the ideal clients, even in this crisis. And I have Denny Champagne with me today, and Denny is from Lotus Communications, and he specializes in coaching excellence in prospecting and selling to the C-suite, so that's your senior executives, to deliver sustainable sales growth even in these difficult times. So Denny, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Dilys. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. So Denny, I have been talking to a lot of my clients, a lot of prospective clients as well, actually, and there is this huge fear out there. You know, even members of my family who are running their own businesses are feeling fearful, and there are some terrible thought processes going on and some myths that I think we can bust today, you know, and really look at the truths and the reality of what's going on. And so we look at busting some of those myths, and then we can talk about the things that people can do. So really worthwhile listening right through to the end, to help you not just with these strategies in terms of what you can put in place and actions to take, but your mindset, because it's this reframing of your thinking that makes a massive difference. So let's just kick off then with one of these myths, Denny, and it's where businesses aren't buying. They're just not buying, and it's as if the whole world has closed down. So what are your thoughts on that myth?
Well, probably some businesses are not buying because some people are trying too much to sell.
Mm-hmm.
People want to buy because they need things. Now, depending on the industry or the sector in which you find yourself, obviously, people are buying soap.
Mm-hmm.
People are buying maybe toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not talk about the proverbial toilet paper.
Toilet paper, yes.
But there are products and technologies that people are buying, tools. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are buying Zoom right now.
Yes.
To download the tools and
Mm-hmm.
to operate. I just downloaded an antivirus for a small tool for my granddaughter, and I sent it over to them. So we are buying. It's just that the way we approach them has got to take on a much more social and humanistic approach to first deal with the human being that is at the core of the buying process.
Yes. So the empathy is really important. And you know, just to reflect on something you've said there, it's important that people look at these areas where people are buying. And funnily enough, I've just had a conversation with not a client, he was in my pipeline. I spoke to him back end of last year. I'd been doing a speaking gig and it followed up from that. And he said, Dilys, I really would like to speak to you next year because business is going so well that we're looking to expand and we need to put our strategies in place. And I want to leave it until we do that before we engage. And I went, yeah, absolutely fine. In the meantime, all of this has happened. And we were due, in fact, to meet in a hotel today at 2:30. So I said to him, look, I'm still happy to meet with you. Let's do a Zoom call. And he sent me a video. And actually, I felt quite tearful when I listened to his video, because he said overnight his business had collapsed because he works in the leisure industry. And I could easily have said, no, I'm not, there's no point in me talking to him because there's obviously no opportunity for business there. But honestly, I felt really sad. And I said, look, very happy to jump on a Zoom call and we can maybe do just a little bit of brainstorming to see what you might be able to do. So I jumped on with him and his partner, and they were dejected completely. They'd been in business for years, and just overnight the business seemed to have gone. But actually, when we dug deeper, they've got tons of business assets. You know, even though it was directed to the leisure industry, we started talking about two things: how they could pivot and deliver differently, and how they could start and identify other markets. And so we were talking about other markets that were flourishing and that are buying. And, you know, accountants, um, um, solicitors, lawyers, the um, the retail stores are still operating at a huge rate. Zoom, as you've mentioned, some of these technical technology companies and so on. And actually, we ended up with a really long list of things. And by the end of that call, these two guys who were totally dejected had completely reframed their thinking. And I said, you have to, and we're going to talk about this in terms of, you know, when we bust these myths and then we'll look at the action. But I said, you two have to be like rabid dogs and you have to put action in place. And they went, we have to do what we did when we first started our business. I said, absolutely. So find the people who can afford to pay you, who fit in with your kind of ethics and your business values and everything, and look at how you can serve them differently. And it was like, and they really would know all of this, but they were in such a bad place they couldn't even think. So, you know, that people are still buying.
Yeah. Fear stifles your creativity. Fear creates doubt, and doubt creates cloudiness, and your mind is, you know, kind of all over the place, and you can't see clearly. You know, there's a saying that when the sun rises, even the biggest spotlights in a baseball stadium seem nothing compared, pale in comparison.
Yeah.
Also, the dew and the clouds on the horizon of the lake just completely dissipates, and you can see the true the relief, as we say in French, the topography of the land. So you can fly over mountains, not land in them.
Yes, yes. And I know that you are a great one in terms of mindset and this reframing of your thinking. So following on from this, where you know, there is this myth of businesses are not buying. There's also, I've heard a lot of people saying, how on earth can I, or it's impossible, were words I've heard. It's impossible to be empathetic and sell at the same time.
You asking me a question?
Yeah, I am.
Well, let's define empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in another person's position, right? Sympathy is feeling what that other person is feeling. And sometimes empathy, I was taught by Zig Ziglar about sympathy and empathy 40 years ago. And he said, sympathy is if you're on a boat and someone that has seasick and is by the railing, and you are sympathetic, you'll go next to them and you'll vomit as well.
Right.
But if you're empathetic, you'll bring him a towel.
Yes. Oh, Denny, that is such a brilliant explanation of empathy. And that really is it. It's getting into their shoes. And I had to do that today with these guys that I was talking to. I had to absolutely get into their shoes. And I did give them the towel, actually. But I had to get right into the shoes and feel it with them.
Yeah.
And then give them the towel. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So
what do you
telling,
yeah. So what are your views then on where people are saying I can't be empathetic and sell because they feel it's contradictory?
It feels contradictory because they're not resolved, and I think they're not resolved in their own hearts and minds that actually selling is probably the way, encouraging people to buy versus trying to push on something to them, like have the traditional kind of you know, forward, aggressive, assertive, but be more curiously caring, I call it.
Yes.
Or caringly curious, and start asking questions, and maybe putting down some questions that you're likely to ask. I know that you and I are friends and fans of Tony Hughes, and some of the questions he asked last week was, what's happened in your business that's caused you to be looking at this right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? One question. So it just kind of distances you. So maybe for those people who are fearing, let them stop a second, say, if I were in their shoes, what kinds of questions would I be most likely wanting to ask? Sometimes I get consulted by someone and I ask the consultant, what question should I be asking you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It turns it around and it says, okay, so, what's in improved results that you're looking to accomplish for you and your company?
Mm.
And then they start talking and it calms you down,
Yeah.
because now you're in a position of a helper.
Mm-hmm.
And when you reach out to help someone and they start appreciating it, you calm down.
Yeah. And the other thing that I feel really passionate about, and I'll use your terminology of empathy, is giving them the towel. It's not being sick with them. If you don't give someone the opportunity to use your product or service, you are leaving them in that situation with the problems that they've got. So it's your reframing of this. Yes, be empathetic. Yes, get into their shoes and understand, but have the mindset that says, I am, and again, using your words, I'm serving these people. This is a service. And I know John Smybert talks about the German word for selling is, I think he says it's sale.
Salam.
Salan, and it's and the interpretation of that is service.
It's to give.
Yes. And so when you go with that kind of mindset that says, I'm going to understand this person, I'm going to get into their shoes and be empathetic and give them the towel, that has to be the opportunity for them to use your product or service. Would you agree with that, Denny?
Yes, I would. Well, you and I have gotten new clients in this crisis, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just mentioned it to you that I got one this morning, but because I had a good pipeline previous.
Right.
So I say to people, what was your pipeline before? Maybe this crisis is waking you up that maybe you didn't build a pipeline, because I actually had a senior executive with whom I connected on LinkedIn in the US through a conference I'll be speaking at in August. And it says, my pipeline was in great shape. So it was in great shape.
Right.
So we can talk a whole seminar on just that.
Yeah.
And we continue to book new business as a result. But the economic stimulus legislation will create a large volume of smaller transactions. You may not get as big, but you'll get a client and a transaction, right?
Yeah.
In the coming weeks, which will provide opportunities to deepen existing relationships and remind clients that will be there when the pandemic is over.
Yeah.
So I think that if people are thinking that they can continue to, if they do the right things, to continue to generate the kind of same revenue per transaction, I think they're fooling themselves into thinking something otherwise.
Yeah.
We have to have a paradigm shift and connect with people and with human beings and be concerned as a human race, not the rat race.
Yes.
Or the sales race, but the human race. And then start engaging and then being caringly curious. And as the person is listening to you and engaging with you, as you know, I work a lot with the voice, they will sense and feel your humanity, your humility, but your need to serve, your wanting to serve. And they'll just start opening up to you. And then you can engage in a calm, comforting process. And if you have those questions, what I suggested that you can write down, then you're in the game and you're engaging. And, I always say a true client is one that reorders from you a second time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And, if I look back at many of my clients, I've started, in fact, with a small piece of business. And probably the best one expanded out to 8 years. So I went in with a small contract, whilst I was doing that, I identified the opportunity where they were really missing a trick. And I went to the CEO and proposed this to him. And he said, I love this, Dilys, roll it out. We rolled it out across the country. And then from there was another big contract came out with the online business. So they had a bricks and mortar, but they also had online. And so that contract lasted nearly 8 years. But then the CEO moved, new CEO came in, he had his own people, which is fine, but I went with the CEO to his new business. So in actual fact, it carried on. But that was from a smaller piece of business and then grew from there. So great bit of advice there, Denny.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, follow the person, not the company.
Yes. So here's another myth. I shouldn't be charging during the crisis. Oh my Lord, I've heard the number of times I've heard this. So what are your thoughts on that?
Why shouldn't you be charging? I mean, people have money. It's not as if the money is not in their bank.
Mm-hmm.
They have a budget. I have 4 new clients that their retail operations have slowed down, but they had budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
That's another subject of a webinar.
Yeah.
They had properly budgeted for sales or marketing. And they said, we're continuing with this. Actually, in this crisis, we'll take advantage of it to spend more time in building this so that when we come out at the other end, we'll be robust and solid.
Yeah.
So there is money. There are needs still to be, well, let's take, for example, in our country, we have factories who have turned around and are producing masks.
Yes.
We have vodka and gin spirits producers are now turning around and having alcohol-based hand washing products. So poison can be turned into medicine, pardon the pun. So, it's about being creative. I have a client that this morning I'm working with. He's in the car detailing business. Well, now, right? And major tractor trailer like fleets, major fleets. What we're adding to his campaign on landing pages is, and we'll also disinfect your truck.
Nice. Yeah. And this is what I mean about pivoting.
They have money for that. They have money.
And it's about thinking outside of the box.
Correct.
But this thing about, I don't feel I should be charging, as long as you're not ripping people off and taking advantage of people. I just think that is so wrong. But there's a couple of things here. One is, you have a business and probably employees who are relying on your business, and your family are relying on your business. You have to keep that going. The supermarkets aren't saying we'll open our doors and you can just have everything for free. They're still charging. So people, it's right that you still, and again, this is a mindset thing. If you go in thinking, I'm not comfortable with charging, you will stumble with it, because your mind moves to the most dominant thought, whether it's positive or negative, and your actions follow. So you've got to reframe.
Yeah, I would actually add to this, and without getting too off the cuff of business discussion, but there is deep dwelling Judeo-Christian thinking in our Western society. So I shouldn't be imposing taking money from people, but a transaction is an exchange of value.
Yeah.
Money is a medium of exchange for, in consideration to that good or product or service, you get an amount of units called dollars or cents or pounds.
Yeah.
So it's a question of your kindness and your willingness to serve well, and make sure that you create the most value in your transaction, and that you show them that you want to just let them buy because you have engaged correctly initially, and then you have brought an idea or a product or a service that you've identified as a pain, something that hurts them. It hurts them. Like when you don't have what you need, it's somewhat of a small suffering internally.
Yeah.
Intrinsically inside the person, and they're looking for that pair of shoes because theirs are broken. It bothers them. I had a tooth fixed this week. It was moving. I was happy to stabilize it.
Yeah.
bothering me. I didn't mind paying,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and I was happy to leave, you know. So it's a question of understanding that you're not getting it for free. You're not taking money gratuitously. You're providing a consideration for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, indeed. And I think I mentioned to you that I secured a contract, a 12-month contract on Zoom with
Wow.
two directors and two senior managers on Zoom. And we were talking about this and the value that they were going to bring to their clients. And they were actually a marketing business. And I said, if you think about this, if your prospective clients don't do anything right now, I will guarantee they'll have nothing in 2-3 months' time. I'll guarantee you. But if they start doing something, there will be something comes out at the other end if they really take action and ramp up. And I used the analogy of runners. I said, because those businesses who take no action will be back in the gym, warming up, building up their muscles and so on. The ones who have taken action will be in the blocks ready to go when all of this passes. And so that is the sort of value that you can bring. And that's what you need to be thinking about when your head says, I can't charge any fees at the moment. Just don't rip people off, but be confident in your value of what you
Right.
bring to people.
Exactly. The value is the operative word here. I think is really being is because some people have started their business because they were passionate about a service, but they did not spend some time. And this is an opportunity to rethink and we're almost like a startup again.
Yeah.
We're a little bit like a startup. So we have to reframe, reorganize, reconfigure a little bit our thinking and remove some of the dust that's been in our cobwebs of our mind and really bring to the forth, what is the real value that I bring? And as you know, you and I are consultants and coaches. So we have to educate people. We have to kindly help them to view and see differently than that which they were, because if they will do the same they've ever done, they'll always have what they've always had, right?
Absolutely.
So we bring them to a new paradigm shift. We help them to see more broadly. And the client this morning, he was questioning a few things. And by the end, I said, are you comfortable now? Do you understand? He says, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Send me the invoice. So that brings a lot of value. And you as a coach, a consultant, and you as a provider of a product, as a retailer or supplier, distributor, from all these companies that you serve so well, Dilys, I'm sure, we need to educate them and encourage them, give them courage.
Yes.
That's what encouragement means. Andrew Carnegie from the U.S. Steel Corporation, way back where Napoleon Hill was looking to connect with him to work for him, Andrew Carnegie says, I worked on one principle in my organization. And mind you, he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars in the 30s. He said, my basic operative principle is encouragement.
Yeah.
So we need to encourage them to see it differently. So they too have to encourage their clients to open up a bit and be open and be vulnerable. So it's a lot more humanistic than we think. So they have to change their approach. It's not transactional, it's transformational.
Oh, I love that word. I love that word. That's really sits well with me. And in fact, I was saying to my husband, I mean, I couldn't possibly do this, of course, because we're on lockdown. I said, really, I need to get a box in Hyde Park at Speaker's Corner. And I want to speak to all of these business owners and just help them reframe their thinking around this, because people are paralyzed into inaction because of the fear. And of course, a lot of businesses that our audience are going to be talking to will also be paralyzed. And so it is that it's helping them see that transformation and giving them the opportunity to transform. Even if it is just a smaller piece of business, it will help them to then transform and to survive and thrive, and not go, because the worst thing is, because I see it like this, is if you take no action, you are sat steeped in worry. When you take action, it actually, when you go running and you get this like endorphin, what's the word I'm looking for? Rush, the endorphin rush. It's similar to that. If you take no action, you will become stressed and worried and negative and down, and it's really bad for your mental health.
Yeah.
Take action, any action, and the endorphins, you'll get that endorphin rush, and it will help you move to the next step.
Yeah.
So in terms of what to do, it is absolutely double down, ramp up your marketing, these guys I was talking to this afternoon, I said, you need to be like rabid dogs. And he said, we really need to be like we were when we first started our business. And I said, yes, you do. That's exactly, because if you take some action, you will be filling your pipeline. Even if people aren't going to do business right now, you can fill your pipeline with people who are interested, keep in touch, create that top of mind thinking so that you are the person to do business with. However, there will be those who want to do business with you now. There will. But do it with the people who can afford to do business with you, because if you're going to put your energy in, do it in that area and get your mindset in the right place in terms of this transformation that you can bring.
Right. Well, adopting the startup mentality, let them remember how they were when they first started and to rekindle that emotion with them.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, today I begin a new business. I don't know if you ever heard of Og Mandino in the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World.
I haven't read that one.
It is a classic. It's a 50-year-old classic.
Okay.
And it's
Well, being just 27, I wouldn't have even come across it. Teasing.
The book actually talks about scrolls of a young man who went to Bethlehem or somewhere in the desert, and he read scrolls that was given to him by apparently the greatest salesman in the world. And the first scroll that he had to read for 21 days says, "Today I begin a new life."
Right.
Every day I begin a new life. So I'm reborn every day. I'm opportunity as death and life, sleep and wake, same thing.
Yes.
So we go through those cycles. And so when we wake up fresh from the rest of the night, we're ready to take on a fresh new day. Likewise, with your company, you go through stages where there's decline and then there's re-engineering. Well, this is an opportunity to rekindle that exciting emotions that you had and try to encourage people to where were we? Where had we set up our business on the first month when we opened our business?
Yeah.
If it was in the garage, let's talk about that. All of that emotion that wells up in you and the circumstances and the resources that you had, let them build that emotion, that pride, that joy, that great memories of building something.
And the reason why as well, the purpose behind why this started.
Why did we do this? And the why. And then get on the phone or start looking to LinkedIn or look to the association. And surely enough, day by day, and have this attitude of appreciation every day.
Yeah.
I got one good lead today. I spoke to the owner. Yesterday, I was referred last week to someone who is in the beverages business in Gujarat, India.
Good Lord, right.
They are a 97-year-old company. I have a dear colleague of mine here in Montreal who teaches at the McGill MBA strategy course, which he invites me as a lecturer, but I work for the company he worked for. And he's an amazingly generous person. And he put me in touch because he knows I've worked in the consumer packaged goods business for many years. So he put me in touch with them, and they want to come to North America with spicy drinks and all kinds of juices and stuff. And he's the 4th generation owner. all I did is listen to him.
Mm.
Let's ask questions, care about someone, and listen to them. Don't try to push on your solutions yet.
Yeah.
But
And listen to understand,
to
not just
understand,
listen to hear,
to
which
reply,
makes a
exactly.
big difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned LinkedIn was one of the ways that people can start and take action. Let's look at some of the other ways. So I'll read out the list, and then we can't cover everyone in detail, but we'll pick out one or two that we
Sure.
can give a little bit more insight into. So existing clients, of course, look at how
Number
you can.
one.
Yes,
Number one.
it is. That is the easiest business, because they've already bought from you, they trust you, and so on. And it's much easier to do business with your existing than trying to find new ones. And over deliver to prevent cancellations and that sort of thing. Past clients, inquiries that didn't turn into anything, referrals, the LinkedIn contacts, which is what you mentioned there before, your email list if you've got one, maybe joint venture partners. Look for people who for example, this isn't B2B, but the example's great. My son-in-law, builder carpenter, and he works not as a joint venture as such. It's more like a referral arrangement where the interior designer, because these people who Drew works with don't buy paint from B&Q, our hardware store. They use interior designers. So he introduces Drew, and Drew introduces him when he's doing work. And then the surveyor introduces Drew in, because the surveyor's right at the front end of the job, and he's
Sure.
getting business from that. And prospect ideal clients who have money. They are out there. So
ICPs, ideal customer profile.
yes, indeed, because work with people who you love working with, that pay you promptly, they fit your values, they will give you repeat and referral business. So really look at prospecting those ideal clients. Don't just pebble dash your prospecting. Have a strategy and have that list of those ideal clients. So out of that list, I don't know whether I think you might have written those down, Denny. Thank you. How can you remember all of that? I'm sorry. Do you want to make any comments on a couple of those?
Well, existing and past clients are a natural one, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to reframe. Maybe you can think of something that says, in light of the circumstances that we all find ourselves in, maybe offer a discount if there's
Mm-hmm.
something they really need. We just wanted to check in with you to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
Is your family okay? Are your staff is okay? Tell me, talk to me. Let me talk to me. Tell me about what's going on.
Going on. Yeah.
Just let them talk.
Yeah.
You may be the only one of all his suppliers that will listen.
Mm.
I'm not fooling. There's a lot of people on the stress, and they just get to the core purpose of their call,
Mm.
and they're just banging away, and they're hitting on their nail, but it's hurting, right? So
Yeah.
they don't realize. So first of all, how are you doing?
Mm.
Like, I really want, because you treasure the relationship you have with these people, right?
Yeah.
And let them talk. Once they've finished and have expressed everything, if they ask you, how are you? You know that you are in a good relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
because they care enough to ask in return. And you can tell them, then you're in a friendly business dialogue. I just wanted to check. I'm happy you're okay. Is there anything you need that we can help you with?
Yeah.
I know that these are tough. Acknowledge they're still struggling.
Yes.
Acknowledge, not talk about it. Say the real things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call a true relationship, right? I used to be in the music business, in the hip hop music business, and I had
I'm
one of my.
seeing you with all that hair in the 70s, Denny.
No, it was in the 90s. I was
All
I was
right,
like
okay.
I was the executive producer of the label, but it was in rap music. And one of the kids who rapped for my label he says, when two people who are intimately involved and one of them says bugger off to the other one, the true relationship starts.
Yeah.
So to
Yes.
say the real things,
Mm.
you know, if you may disagree with someone, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a relationship,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And really, it's right that you should be contacting your existing clients right now.
80% of your revenue will come from that.
Yes, indeed. You know, they will be hurting. There is no question about it. And they will welcome your phone call. I promise you.
The second one is past clients.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you look at them and you say, why are they past clients? I just resolved two major disagreements with clients in the last 3 weeks.
Mm.
I was in pain. You know why I was in pain
Yes, I
personally,
do.
on a personal level. And when someone reaches out to you and starts being firm, it hurts even more because you're
Mm.
hypersensitive. But I said, I want to speak with you. I acknowledge that I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And I admitted it. I made a mistake. And he changed his whole tone. We got on
Yeah,
Zoom,
yeah.
and we're back kind of working together,
Mm-hmm.
and there will be subsequent benefits. So ask yourself, for every single one of this is an opportunity in disguise to reach out to past lost clients and see, is there anything in there that is my fault or of my responsibility? Admit it, go to high road, and then call them up and say,
Mm.
I wanted to know, how are you guys doing given the situation where we were considering talking to everyone because we're also in this together, and it can
Yeah,
change.
yeah, yeah,
Poison into medicine, poison into medicine.
yeah. And then, of
So
course, inquiries that didn't come to fruition. And that was actually, this call that I had today was an inquiry. And I mentioned to you that he sent me a video, and I was really moved by this video. And he said, I understand if you don't want to have this call now, but I had the call with him because I just felt you know, they need some help. And it is not a client. It was just an inquiry. And if it comes to, you know, if he becomes a client, that's brilliant. If he doesn't, that's okay too, because I know that today I helped them. I know I did. I took them from this bad place and left them in a much better place. You know, so inquiries, just you might not get the business today, but just be caring and reach out and help people and create top of mind thinking, so that you're in regular touch, so that when this does move over, you know, when this does pass, which it will, you are there. They remember you for what you've done.
they will remember, but they will remember how you made them feel more
Feel.
than anything.
Yes, yes, exactly. So, Denny, I could talk to you for another hour, really, but I think we've done a real, you know, we've covered a whole gambit of things here in this conversation. It's been brilliant. And I think people just need to remember, you know, the basics and the fundamentals of be empathetic and take action, please. Like every day. This isn't today and then maybe one day next week. This is every day. And I promise you, if you want to survive and thrive, if you do that every day and you look at who your ideal clients are, get prospecting, get on the phone, use LinkedIn. You know, personally, I like LinkedIn, email, telephone call, voicemail if I need to. Remember your empathy, remember your caring. And so from your prospecting, book your meetings, arrange your next steps, and you know, take them on that journey with you. And these are ideal clients and people who have got money in the budget, or can see that actually if they enrolled your services, they're going to be way better off than if they do nothing and they take no action and stand still. So that's kind of my parting words. Do you have any parting words,
Well,
Denny?
yes, parenthetically, I'd like to make sure that people recognize, and in this such a context, the phone is working. People are answering the phone.
Yeah,
That's the number one.
yeah.
Two, go back to why you got into this business
Mm,
and reframe your value you as a human being running a business, the responsibility you have to your staff to building lasting value, right? One of the accounting principles is ongoing concern, right?
Mm.
One of the 11 accounting principles is ongoing concern. The business is meant to be ongoing. So, to stand still and not do anything, as my spiritual mentor says, it's like going backwards.
Yeah.
So to continue in this particular context takes on its own new meaning.
Mm.
So
Indeed.
create value, get on the phone, chat with people. People love to hear your voice. The voice is the most beautiful instrument we have.
And you have a beautiful one, Denny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's my word.
Denny, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And as I said, I think we could continue to talk for a number of hours.
Yeah.
But until the next time, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. A pleasure to be with you always.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, I hope that's helped you in terms of how you're feeling, your own mindset, getting over some of these myths. And I hope we've given you some actions that you can take. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with Denny, his website is lotuscom, LOTUSCOMM.com. And you can also find him at Denny, but it's Dennis, DENIS, but he pronounced it Denny, at lotuscom.com. And you can also find him on LinkedIn at Denny, spelled Dennis, Champagne, as in, the fizz. You can contact me at dillis@dillisguyan.com. You can visit my website at dillisguyan.com. You could join my Facebook group, which is a free Facebook group for consultants, coaches, trainers, and business experts who sell to bigger businesses or would like to. And that is called Inspired Selling. Same as this podcast, funnily enough. So please take action. Don't let the fear grip you and paralyze you into inaction. Take action every day. I promise you, if you double down with your prospecting and you go back to the basics and use the phone, talk to people. People want to be talked to. Denny was absolutely right. They do. And I'm not just telling you that because someone else has told me. I know from doing it myself. And the rapport and the relationships that I have created since this awful crisis that we're in has been unbelievable. So I'm here at any time. If I can help you, please email me at dillis@dillisguyan.com. Don't sit feeling paralyzed. And if you just need a sounding board, send me an email. And, I'd be happy, very, very happy to help you, just like I did with those two guys this afternoon. I wish you well, stay safe, and, please work on thriving or surviving through this and thriving, and be in those blocks ready to absolutely fly once this is over, because your competitors won't be. Until the next time, thank you for listening. Bye for now.